Hi students, this is Mamta. We are now heading towards Unit 2. As you have seen in my previous video, we have understood Unit 1. Prose 1 and Poem 1, which was focused on human nature and behavior. Now in this video we are going to understand how important music is in our life. Now the difference between the previous unit and this unit is, this is particularly an academical speech. So in this chapter, Dr. Carl Polnack gives speech in Boston Conservatory, which is the top musical school, and we are going to understand how his speech has changed the lives of many students. Now before we go into detail on this chapter, we'll understand what are the main characters in this chapter are. Dr. Polnack, now he is the professor and author who is giving speech in Boston Conservatory. Dr. Oliver, he is prisoner in Nazi camp. We'll understand how he changed lives in the prisoner camp and gave the importance of music to different students in the camp itself. The highlights of these chapters are as follows. Dr. Carl Polnack's choice of career. Now in this you will have an important question like why Dr. Carl Polnack's parents decided that he should not be a musician, he should be doctor. We'll see what is the answer in this chapter. Second is society's view on music. We are going to understand how society consider music. Music in Nazi camp, this is most important in this chapter. I think you can score marks in this particular paragraph because in June 2013, September 2013, you have been given questions relating to Nazi camp. Fourth, art gives meaning to life. On this particular topic, we are going to understand how art changes the lives of different people. Fifth, the fateful day. We are going to have highlights of that particular situation when the terrorist attacked Twin Towers. During this period, there was one particular musician and pianist who actually created a gathering and gave importance of music to different. And last, we are going to understand the key to save our planet, which is music. Now in exams, you will have four important kind of questions. One is synonyms, second antonyms, third brief answers. As I explained, it will be usually from Nazi camp or Dr. Carl Polnack's career choice, and last some grammar questions. Now let's have a look on the chapter. Dr. Carl Polnack, pianist and director of the music division at the Boston Conservatory, gave this fantastic welcome address to the parents of incoming students at the Boston on September 1, 2004. This speech is in American English. Now, one of my parents' deepest fears, I suspect, is that society would not properly value me as a musician, that I wouldn't be appreciated. I had very good grades in high school. I was good in science and maths, and they imagined that as a doctor or a research chemist or an engineer, I might be more appreciated than I would be as a musician. I still remember my mother's remark when I announced my decision to apply to music school. She said, "You are wasting your SAT scores." Now in this paragraph, on some level, I think my parents were not sure what the value of music was, what its purpose was, and they loved music. They listened to classical music all the time. They just were not really clear about its function. So let me talk about that a little bit, because we live in a society that puts music in the arts and entertainment section of the newspaper. Serious music, the kind your kids are about to engage in, has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with entertainment. In fact, it's the opposite of entertainment. Let me talk a little bit more about music and how it works. Now, we are going to understand in this paragraph that Dr. Karl Polnack is trying to show how fearful his parents were. They were so confused about Dr. Karl's choice of how he is going to choose his career in future. So they decided that they will suggest him that either he should choose being a doctor or a physician. But then he came up with his own choice and said he wants to be a musician. Now in the speech which he is giving in the Boston Conservatory, he is trying to clear those doubts in the minds of students along with those parents who are attending this speech, this function. So now in this first paragraph you will see the only synonym which you can have in your exam could be math. Okay, it's mathematics, it's in American English. Alright, we'll move to second paragraph. So if anyone has any choices in music, it would be only Boston Conservatory, where students can go and understand different styles of music instruments. Now, one of the first cultures to articulate how music really works was that of the ancient Greeks. Now, this is the most important paragraph. Now, he is trying to give us one new outlook how Greeks see music. So, the synonym which you can have in this paragraph is articulate, which means express thoughts or feelings in words. Astronomy was seen as the study of relationships between observable, permanent, external objects, and music was seen as the study of relationships between invisible, internal, hidden objects. Now, he is trying to say that music and astronomy are two sides of the same coin. Now, you can have a brief paragraph on this, that how music and astronomy are related. Now, he says that in astronomy, it's a relationship between something which is permanent, something which is visible, something which is external. But in case of music, music is a relationship between different symbols, between invisible, between external objects, yet you cannot see. So you can have a comparison between astronomy and music in two lines. Now, music has a way of finding the big invisible moving pieces inside our hearts and souls and helping us figure out the position of things inside us. Now, remember how music is different from astronomy will have the same answer. That is, music is the study of relationships between invisible, internal, hidden objects. Okay, let's move to on third paragraph. Now it says, music is one of the most profound compositions of all the time. Now profound is intense feeling. Now in this third paragraph, we are going to understand, as you see, Nazi camp. Now how one man changed the outlook of different prisoners in that camp. This is a very important question which you will have in your exam. So it says, one of the most profound musical compositions of all time is the Quartet for the End of Time, written by a French composer, Olivier Messiaen, in 1940. Now remember, it is M-E-S-S-I-A-E-N. You have to pronounce it as Messiaen, M-E-S-Y-A-H-N. Now, he was 31 years old when France entered the war against Nazi Germany. He was captured by the Germans in June 1940 and imprisoned in a prisoner of war camp. Now, this paragraph gives the brief idea how Olivier, he was a great musician in France, how he entered into prison. So, which is none of the important part of your answer. Now, your answer starts from here. He was fortunate to find a sympathetic prison guard who gave him paper and a place to compose, and was fortunate to have musician colleagues in the camp, a cellist, a violinist, and Messiaen wrote his quartet with these specific players in mind. It was performed in January 1941 for 4,000 prisoners and guards in the prison camp. Now, the question which you can have is, how did Messiaen spend his time in prison? Now, when he entered the prison, what happened? He entered in a cell where there were different musicians already involved. Now what happened? He was quite fortunate to find some person who entered the prison, and he asked him whether you can help me having some paper and pen. That person helped him with the prison guard, helped him with the paper and pen, and he started composing different musical notes and different poems, and that longest poem in a musical form was known as quartet for the end of time. Now what is basically quartet? Quartet is a kind of music for group of people which is usually sung by a group of 10 or 20 people together. Now when it was performed in January 1941 for how many prisoners? For 4,000 prisoners together. Now this was the answer of that important question which I was telling you. The question could come in this paragraph. How did Messiaen spend his time in prison? So he spent his time in prison by writing those long poems known as Quartet for the End of Time for 4,000 prisoners along with different musicians involved in that camp. Now let's move to next paragraph. Given what we have since learned about life in the Nazi camps, why would anyone in his right mind waste time and energy writing or playing music? There was barely enough energy on a good day to find food, water, to avoid beating, to stay warm, to escape torture. And yet, even from the concentration camps, we have poetry, we have music, we have visual art. It wasn't just this one fanatic Messiaen. Many people created art. The camps were without money, without hope, without commerce, without recreation, without basic respect, but they were not without art. Now here the author is trying to put emphasis on the significance of art. Now the question can come, what is the importance or what is the significance of art? Now the answer could be, art is part of survival. Art is part of the human spirit, an unquenchable expression of who we are. Art is one of the ways in which we say, I am alive and my life has meaning. Now in this paragraph you can have two synonyms. One is fanatic, which is extremely enthusiastic, and one can be unquenchable, that is cannot be satisfied. So this paragraph focuses only on importance of art. Now the last paragraph of this chapter. In September 2001, I was a resident of Manhattan. On the morning of September 12, 2001, I reached a new understanding of my art and its relationship to the world. I sat down at the piano that morning at 10 a.m. to practice, as was my daily routine. I did it by force of habit, without thinking about it. I lifted the cover on the keyboard and opened my music and put my hands on the keys, and just as soon took my hands off it. And I sat there and thought, does this even matter? Now this paragraph gives the brief idea how the author was just sitting after the fateful day of September 11, 2001. Now after the attack, what happened? No one was shopping, no one was playing Scrabble as they used to do daily. Everyone was inside their room and they were busy watching news channels. At that time the author was sitting idle and he was trying to play a piano, but he was unable to play a piano, and he thought why he should play it. What's the meaning of life? He was so confused and so tired of the life that he decided that he will not play piano ever. Now this is the situation. What happens after that? Isn't this completely irrelevant? Playing the piano right now, given what happened in this city yesterday, seems silly, absurd, pointless. Why am I here? What place has a musician in this moment, in this time? Who needs a piano player right now? I was completely lost. And then I, along with the rest of New York, went through the journey of getting through that week. I did not play the piano that day, and in fact, I contemplated briefly whether I would ever want to play the piano again. Now in this paragraph you won't have much except the situation which describes that he was completely feeling that music is absurd. There is no point in playing the piano, there is no point in playing music. Now from this paragraph, if you see, the only synonym you can have is irreverent, which is not showing respect. Now what happens after 1 week from that fateful day? At least in my neighborhood, we didn't shoot. We didn't play cards to pass the time. We didn't watch TV. We didn't shop. We most certainly did not go to the mall. The first organized activity that I saw in New York on the very evening of September 11th was singing. People sang around firehouses. People sang, "We shall overcome." Lots of people sang "America the Beautiful." The first organized public event that I remember was later that week at Lincoln Center. The first organized public expression of grief to that historic event was a concert. Now he is trying to give you the importance of how you can express your thoughts through music. To express their grief for that fateful day, they organized one concert and they started singing "We Shall Overcome." Now, how did people express their grief? From these two experiences which I've explained now, he decided and he understood that music is not a part of arts and entertainment section of that newspaper. It is basically an important need of human survival. Now, as you see in the newspaper section, musical news, music always comes in the arts and entertainment section. Now, here author is trying to change the view of the society, and he is highlighting that music should not come in the arts and entertainment section. It should be an important part of the human survival. It is important as good as it is important. Politics, it is important. So it is as important as political news. Now this question can come in your exam. Why isn't music just a hobby? Music is one of the ways we make sense of our lives. One of the ways in which we express feelings. We have no words, but we have a certain way to understand with our hearts when we can't with our minds. Now, let's try to understand how author is trying to conclude from this chapter. Page number 28. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I expect you not only to master music, I expect you to save the planet. If there is a future way of wellness on this planet, of harmony, peace, of mutual understanding, of equality, I don't expect it will come from a government, from a military force. I no longer even expect it to come from the religions of the world, which together seem have brought us much far and much war as they have in peace. Now he's suggesting and he's ending this chapter with a beautiful note that if you want peace in the human mankind, you should always try to learn music, spread music, rather than focusing on war and disturbing peace of the human society. The most important question which can come is, what can artists do to save the planet? Now, what can artists do basically to save the planet? They can spread the music message through different way of musical notes which can bring mutual understanding, fairness, which can bring harmony, peace in the world.